Today's video is all about you and your plants. By far the most rewarding part of being a plantfluencer is when I receive messages from people saying that my tutorials or my way of growing really changed the way that they grow their plants, or really got them started with this hobby in the first place, or motivated them to get into this hobby or take their hobby to the next level. That is all I could possibly ever ask for. I think it's so great to know that my videos could really have a positive impact on somebody's hobby, somebody's life, somebody's well-being, and so on. That makes it so rewarding, so call me selfish, but I love receiving these sort of comments. Wouldn't it be nice to actually see people's plant collections inspired by my growth guides or my tutorials? And that's exactly what I decided we're gonna do. So a couple of weeks ago, I reached out to all of you on my community tab and I asked you to send me photos or videos of your plant collection inspired by my YouTube channel. And I received so many submissions, way more than I expected. I was honestly a bit worried that maybe nobody's gonna send anything through and everybody's like, who do you think you are? But I received, I think, almost 60 submissions. So I'm gonna try my best to go through all of these today. But that also means I have no idea how long this video is going to be. You're smarter than me at this stage because you've seen the timestamp already. But we should really get started. What I'll also do is I'll pop in their social media accounts if provided, as well as their location if provided, so you can reach out to other people as well, maybe people that are local to you, and connect with them. So hopefully this is a little bit of a community building exercise, and I'm also determined to prove a point. Proving a point that no, you don't need to live in Sydney to have amazing success growing your plants. You should be able to have success growing plants on moss poles anywhere in the world, as long as you put enough effort into supplementing your conditions. So I hope there's going to be submissions from all over the world here. That would be great, but I don't know. I haven't looked at the submissions yet. I kind of received them and I downloaded them and I named them, and that's it. I try to stay away from looking at the actual videos or photos just yet because, well, I want to be surprised as well. First submission is from George. Hello from Brisbane. I've been watching your channel for over a year now, especially your earlier and shorter how-to programs. As you can see, I have set up my plants following your advice, moss poles, mother lights, and the kids love jungle baths. I even dim the lights and play Amazon rainforest sounds. Oh my god, I love that. Awesome, alrighty. I mean, that looks fantastic. I love this. So what I really love over here is that you're using the mother lights to really make the plants face your way, right? Because you do have some windows over there. Obviously they have a lot of shading in front of them, but I love that with the lights coming from the front, you can really see all of these plants. That looks fabulous. Oh, I really love that. And yeah, I can easily see how you can turn this into a bit of a rainforest jungle for your children. Good on you. Oh, and these ones are yours as well. All right, these ones. And this must be your little outdoor collection then. Nice. I like it. You got great taste in plants. I do love that escalada down there. That looks very nice. Next we've got Dom from Sydney, and he sent me a video. Alrighty, so it looks like you've got some sort of grow vertical moss pole and you've extended that at some stage as well, and you're just putting it in the sink and pouring water all over it. That looks really good. So I don't know if you guys want my tips or comments or feedback, but I suppose it's my channel, so I'm gonna give you my opinion on things. This happens to me sometimes as well, where I actually need to water with like a watering can or pour water in it. I've noticed that if you don't fill your moss pots to the very top, you're gonna have a hard time using the water bottle upside down technique. So if you only have one plant or so, that's fine, but imagine you'd have 50 plants or so, and none of the moss poles are filled to the very top. It would really just mean that you need to walk around and water every single pole. Now the moss, when it's dry, is going to be hydrophobic, so most of the water is really just going to pearl off. So it's going to be really hard with a watering can to give this really slow, steady release of water that the moss can actually absorb all of it. If you only have one, that is fine, you know, you can take your time. But if you have lots and lots of plants and you're struggling keeping them moist, I would actually recommend filling all of your poles to the top. It seems counterintuitive because the plant hasn't even attached there yet, but you're just using the moss to retain moisture. The more moss you've got in your pole, the more moisture it can retain, right? So if you only fill your moss pole half, it can only retain half as much water and so on as well. But what you're doing works perfectly fine. Just giving you maybe a little tip of what you might want to consider if you start adding more and more plants. Because yeah, I have way too many plants to actually stand there and slowly pour for all of them. It's looking good. Now next one, Kat from the UK, and she has sent through 2 photos with 1 year of growth. So this looks like a Monstera Deliciosa that was 1 year ago. And 1 year later, wow, that's a lot of growth, especially for Monstera variegata. They seem to grow really, really slowly in general. That's great. Let's see, you've got it on a moss pole. It's looking good. Yeah, thanks for sending it through. That's very impressive growth. And yeah, from the UK. So the UK is not known for its tropical climate. So good on you. Who's next? We've got Beth from Adelaide. She said, here's a video of my moss poles. All started after discovering your channel early last year. Most were started in March, April 23, except for the big ears. Okay, the blind is always up but closer partially so that there wasn't so much backlight. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. I always get a heart attack when I see people closing their blinds. Like, why? But I suppose there's also non-planty people. I never close my blinds. Wow, I love the El Salvador. That looks really nice. Look at you. Yep. Bottle upside down technique. So this is exactly what I was referring to earlier. Beth filled the moss pole all the way to the top so she can put that water bottle on there, and then the water is going to slowly release and gravity is going to make it drain through, right? So the part of the pole that the plant is attached to will stay moist for longer. And it's much easier watering. You don't need to manually stand there and pour over it. So good on you, Beth. Oh, you asked me a question too. Sorry, see, I'm not very good at this. Splendid needs an extension soon, but I noticed that my El Salvador leaves had a setback in size after the extension and one leaf is a bit deformed. Is that normal? Well, hang on, I reckon you're referring to this leaf maybe? That is a bit deformed. Look, I don't necessarily know what happened as part of the extension. Technically, the plant should be unaware of the extension happening, right? Like the plant doesn't know what happens with the pole above it. So I reckon maybe as part of the extension, did you maybe repot it as well? Or did you maybe change its location after the extension because it was now taller or something like that? So sometimes if a leaf is a bit smaller or deformed, it could literally just be a little bit of like a change in conditions. So it doesn't mean that the new conditions are terrible. It's really just not used to the change. Not all plants deal well with change. And it looks great, honestly. I wouldn't be worried. We're dealing with nature, not every leaf is perfect. Wow, if I keep going in this speed, we're gonna be here all bloody day. Who we've got next? Marishka from the Czech Republic. Okay, nice. Also not known for like super tropical climate. So let's see what you can do with the challenges that you're naturally presented with. Alrighty, so you've got a Rhaphidophora over there. Not really a genus I grow often, but I should really try. You're doing a chop and extend. Nice. Alright. Look at that. Even got fenestrations and everything already. Beautiful. Nice. Yeah, look, I mean, it looks like you're using more of a plastic mesh rather than a coated wire. I use a coated wire because it has just a little bit more stability, but then I don't know how strong your plastic is. It could be strong. And you're using also some see-through pots, but they're not exactly the ones that I have. I think this must be one of the questions I get asked the most. Where do I get my see-through pots from? I mean, I get them from Bunnings, but a see-through pot is a see-through pot. Like, you don't need to use exactly mine, you know. So that's good. So they clearly are available in Europe. I paused over here because what I noticed is that you have a thick moss pole and then you put a skinnier moss pole on top of it. Of course, you know, if you want to extend it, it makes sense to make the top one smaller, then it easily fits inside the bigger one. Now keep in mind, if you keep doing that, eventually your moss pole will get smaller and smaller and smaller as the plant matures, which is the opposite of what it really should be. As the plant matures, it will grow more roots, needs room for more roots if you want the plant to further grow and mature. So just in this instance, not a problem at all, but just think about it in the long run. If you keep going with that approach, you will end up just having a really small moss pole that doesn't really retain much moss, so it doesn't retain much moisture, doesn't offer all too much room for roots. But in this instance, it works perfectly fine. Looking good. Happy days. Of course, proof is in the pudding. I would love to know if this plant has had any sort of setbacks after the chop and extend, but looks great. Thanks for sharing. All right, next one we've got Ooriya from Israel. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of your names, but look, my name is Jan, but it's spelled Jan, and my name constantly gets mispronounced by everybody, so I think I'm allowed to. Wow! Oh my god, I love this Anthurium down there, the luxuriance, and seems like another luxuriance hybrid or something like that. Looks amazing. I really love the mix of Anthuriums, Philodendron moss poles, Alocasias. That looks amazing. I would love to work in this office. That looks great. Now I wonder if you keep those blinds closed the whole time. I reckon you pointed them my way for the photo, right? They probably point the other way normally. Must be. They will point where the light comes from, so. Nice one. I really like this. Really like this. And your moss poles look great. And you can definitely see, look at that splendid in the middle, a decent increase in leaf size already. And I love that neon, that yellow neon as well. Decent increase in leaf size. Well done. Thanks for sharing. Alrighty, next. Well, we are 10% through this. Wow. Okay, I might need to just be a little faster.
This is my medium silver. This is the first leaf it put out. It's putting on the moss pole, and look at this leaf. It's got 4 fenestrations. Next is my Philodendron verrucosum. I did this recently. These are my Pelionias, Pulchra, and Repens. And then this is my pink princess. Beautiful plant. I love it. And then my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma.
YouTube Silent Scales, her name is Ada from Mississippi. No idea about the climate in Mississippi, but doesn't scream tropical at me either. Looks great. All of your plants are still quite small, which is perfectly fine, right? Like my plants were really small at some stage as well. Actually, I have a lot of really small plants recently. Last year, I had the urge to buy a whole lot of plants, and when I buy them, they're all really small. So I have lots and lots of plants that are exactly the same size as yours. My tip, if you want it, I don't know, you didn't ask, but I'll give it to you anyway. My tip would probably staying away from these really short moss poles. I get it, at the moment the plant looks really small, so it looks kind of weird to put a big moss pole on it, but it's not just because the plant will eventually need the moss pole. It's also just making your life easier. It's coming back down to the watering. If you have a moss pole, the top of the moss pole will always dry out first because of gravity. Plus, at the top, it's usually warmer and so on as well, right? So the top will always dry out first. So if I have a 90 centimeter moss pole, my plant is only here, this will dry out first, and then over the course of the week, more and more will dry out. So by the time the part of the pole that the plant has attached to is drying out, probably a week or so has passed. If, however, the top of the moss pole is here and the plant is here, that top is constantly on the verge of drying out. So you're constantly trying to water your moss poles to make sure that the newest node has a moist pole to attach to. So just a little tip, what you're doing works perfectly fine. It clearly is working, but if you want to make your life a little bit easier, I would recommend giving your plants larger moss poles from the beginning, if space permits. Alright, next one is AJ from Perth, Australia. His Instagram is mjplant_, and he sent me 3 videos, so let's have a look at them. Now, Perth in Australia is a huge place. Perth is very far away from Sydney, other side of the country. I think it's like a 6-hour flight. And Perth is super hot and dry, I think, pretty sure. So you wouldn't have the nice natural humidity that I've got over here. So good on you for keeping these moss poles moist. That Marble Queen looks fabulous. I love that. I honestly think Marble Queens are so underrated. I never had one. I should have really grown one from the beginning. I feel like now it's a bit too late. Well, never too late, but I wish I would have started one like 2-3 years ago. Such an easy grower, so rewarding, and it can size up really nicely. So if you're looking for like a really easygoing plant to size up, go for Marble Queen. I've got my Mandula instead. And I love this one too. So you said that's the Monstera, you're not sure about the ID. Look, it looks like an Adansonii to me, but then there's also 7 other plants that look exactly like an Adansonii, probably more than 7. Monstera is a super confusing genus, and there's like subspecies and forms and whatever. Again, I think it's just us humans desperately trying to put a name on every single thing. Why can't we just accept that they're just plants? Let's just accept them for what they are. But yeah, looks really nice. Well done. Yeah, doing well. The Marble Queen was my favorite of yours though. Alrighty, next up we have Alyssa from Pennsylvania, US. Okay, 2023 was the first year that I've delved into houseplant hobby, and oh boy did I dive in. I still only have about 40 plants and not many of them are moss pole benefiting. However, for my birthday my brother bought me my #1 wishlist plant, a Philodendron Florida Ghost. Nice! And you already found my YouTube channel and several others. So after about a week of letting him acclimate in his new home, I put him up with his first moss pole in the first image. There we go, looks good. I watched a video of yours on how to do it, and after just a few weeks, second photo, we already had a little aerial root. Okay, I need to see this. Making its way into the pole. After I had put him on the pole in the picture, I had commented on a chop and extend tutorial you posted asking for advice for poles. I took your advice and bought stuff to make my own moss pole so that when it's time to add an extension I can use that instead of another segment of what I used initially. Photo 3 are from today, Jan 4th. I'm very proud of this growth, and hopefully you can tell that he's connected to the moss pole at 4 to 5 different points. Alright, let's have a look. That's a huge glow up in a month already. Hang on. Yeah. No, hang on, that's just 2 weeks. Sorry, I'm so... That's just 2-week glow up. Damn. Wow. Yes, it's looking really good. So here you see very, very small internodal spacing for this plant at this stage. As it climbs, it will start growing a little faster or climbing a little faster with more internodal spacing. But that looks awesome, and I love that you have 2 on there as well. It honestly looks so nice and lush in this photo. I can't keep my Florida Ghost happy. I don't know why. So you're doing amazing. But again, and I think I said that in every video again, your moss pole is quite small. There is not much moss there. That moss is gonna dry out super, super quickly. So if you find yourself watering this small moss pole almost every day or every 2 days, it's just because there's just not enough moss pole. If you would add 2-3 more segments on top, and then you water it from the top and you let the water drain through, you're probably gonna notice that that bottom part of the pole stays moist for a week or longer. Also comes to show that you don't need to use the moss pots that I use, right? So this one looks like 3D printed, or I'm not too sure. You said that you make your own as well. If you make these yourself, then you probably have a 3D printer. I personally stay away from these more like forever moss poles, because we know that the plant is going to outgrow the moss pole eventually. And then what are you going to do? How are you going to get the roots that have grown into this grid out of the grid, if you ever want to get it out of there? If you just go with chop and extends, then of course you might not ever have faced that problem. Actually, you will face that problem, because even with a chop and extend, what are you going to do to the bottom part of the chop and extend? That one you most likely want to take apart and propagate in single node cuttings or something like that. So over here, you will have to destroy your support if you ever want to take advantage of the propagation benefits. That's why my moss poles are just made from a mesh. I can cut that up. It's fine. It's easily replaceable and inexpensive. But it looks fabulous. Anyway, these are just what I would do. But you obviously don't have to do exactly what I would do. Each to their own. I hope it's not annoying that I give my feedback. I feel like that's the point of it though. Alrighty, this one is 9 minutes long. Jesus, okay. This is Sam, for 15 years old, from Texas. I put in his Instagram account as well, and I would like to include the person that provided me with most of my rare plants, which is also on screen now. And he wants me to see his Philodendron Paraiso Verde. Okay, let's have a look. Sorry, I can't watch the full 9-minute video because I have another 50. Ooh, I like this one though. Variegated Adansonii, but they're honestly so hard to grow. Like, I wouldn't put my hopes in it, to be honest. I wouldn't get my hopes up that it will ever grow really, really large. So I'm just skipping through this. You seem to have a lot of plants. The age of 15, good on you. I love that. When I was 15, I was just up to no good. So I love that you have discovered this plant hobby at such an early age already.
Here is my first attempt at a moss pool. I had just seen them being used. I'd never really done a lot of research, so I just threw some sphagnum moss in a pool. And it's...
That's it. You don't need to do all too much research. It looks perfect. Honestly, the principle is just, you just want to build some sort of vertical structure that holds moss. Looks good.
Alright, except I chose Philodendron for the green, which grows way too fast. So I get...
Yes, this one grows with very leggy internodal spacing. I've had one on a moss pole as well, and I had to triple plant mine on the moss pole to make it look somewhat lush, because there was just so much spacing in between each leaf and the really long petioles as well. It eventually got too big and I gave it to Tim. You might have seen it already. I don't know if I've released a video at Tim's place already, but it's going strong. So my recommendation would be that part that grew off the moss pole, cut it off, propagate it into single node cuttings, let it root, and then plant them on the same moss pole and have 3 going up the pole.
Up on the moss pole instead of just doing a fishing line support. Here's my most successful moss pole. So this is a Philodendron Paraiso Verde. Right now it's winter, so leaves are kind of mixed on their color and all that. Tie constellation over there. The aerial roots have grown into it really well.
Yes.
I used a moss pole support for the back, tied it to the back. I didn't know yet to actually put 2 holes in the back of the pot and run a wire. I'm going to do that the next time I have a plant I'm going to put on a moss pole, because it makes it so much more structurally sound. And then one of the things, probably the favorite thing I learned from his videos on moss pools is the water bottle trick, where you just put a hole in the top and it makes watering so easy. There's no extra water. I get no mess, and I love it.
Nice. Honestly, good on you. I can't believe you're only 15. That makes me so happy. Thanks, Sam, for sharing, and happy growing. That Paraiso Verde looks twice as good as mine. Mine was not happy. Alrighty, next one we got. It's Anuja. Let's call you Anu. Sorry. But you submitted this one. You didn't tell me whereabouts you are. There wasn't anything else in the email apart from this photo being attached. Let's have a look at this. You aren't actually using a moss pole. It looks like you're using a cocoa coir pole, which in itself is, it's okay from a support perspective, right? So these cocoa coir poles still mimic a tree in nature. I mean, the tree in nature isn't filled with moss either, but you're not growing it in nature, right? So you do have it right by the window, so that's great that you've got so much, or hopefully so much light coming through, but we can notice a continuous decrease in leaf size. The leaves at the bottom of the pot are much larger than the leaves at the top. Now, I reckon there's two reasons for that. First of all, you're not using a proper moss pole. So any of these nodes above the pot, they might have anchored into the cocoa coir pole a little bit, but just purely for anchoring so it doesn't fall. These roots are not water roots. They're not going to absorb water and nutrients, contributing to the overall size of the root system. The more root system, the larger the plant can grow. Second reason I reckon that is because, well, if you look at your window, the sun is probably going to shine, you know, the sun usually shines from above, not below, so the sun from above shines into the window, which means that the most light you're going to have towards the bottom of the pot, right, or like the bottom in general. And that's why I like to do chop and extend, so that by the time it reaches the top, I can extend it, put that top back to the bottom. At the bottom it gets more light, gives it better chances of continuously increasing. So given that the plant is already growing off your cocoa coir pole, maybe consider giving the top a little chop, propagate it, and start it on a moss pole instead, and see if you have even more success with that. But it looks healthy, right? Looks all good, but I can't help but notice the gradual decrease in leaf size, and it makes me want to do something about it. Next we've got Erik from Croatia. You don't have that many plants, but the ones I have are big ones, inspired by me. This is your golden pothos. It's a little older than a year. You don't use moss, you use cocoa chips and homemade soil. You fertilize with every watering, which ranges from 2 to 3 times a week, depending on whether a new leaf is growing or not. You use the fertilizer Flower Universal. It is a Slovenian fertilizer and currently the best I have tried. The plant is located on the south side of the house where it gets the most sun, and during summer it is located on the east side of the house. I hope it's not a problem if there is no video. I'm shy. That's alright. And this is your Instagram username. I'll pop it on screen as well, and that's absolutely fine. You don't need to be on video. It took me a long time to be comfortable in front of the camera on video. So it is your golden pothos. Started off as a decent sized cutting already. You've got it on, you say cocoa chips? Yeah, cocoa chips. And looks like you built your own sort of grow vertical as well. Look, there's a consistent increase in leaf size. The proof is in the pudding, right? So clearly, whatever you're doing, whatever sun exposure you're giving it is clearly working. Now these plants, I've got one on my street, it's actually growing up a tree. So in nature, they can be exposed to quite a lot of sun. So yeah, it looks good. Oh, there's more, hang on. Oh geez, you got more. Yeah, look, it's even better. So, oh, it must be like a little bit of a progression, right? Yeah, looks fabulous, looks fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing, and I love the moss poles that you have built. I would probably start considering making the pole a little bit thicker, because this is already quite a mature plant. It's going to start having really thick stem, and it's going to start out sending a lot of roots. The more room for roots you can provide in that pole, the more likely you're going to see more and more leaves getting larger and larger. So that's just a little tip going forward. Provide them with more room for roots. Next, hi SPG, my name is Grégoire. Oh, Greg is fine, perfect. Okay, sorry, thank you. Greg is fine. I'm from Lyon in France. As you'll see, you changed the way I care about my indoor plants. Thank you very much for that. The moss pole method had been a new tool for me to use in my creations. I'm an artist who does drag, sewing, painting, drawing, and planting. The stairs are the canvas on which I painted with plants. I'm very proud of what I did. Perfect. I started this project in Feb 2021. Oh, okay, so this is when you started your project in 2021, just with one, what do you say, is a lonely burler marks that arrived in cold February. Thank you so much for your content. I love watching how you handle this move from one apartment to another. I love that I'm known for moving houses these days. I did not plan on moving out, but your video gave me peace that it was possible. Your content is everything I need. Keep the way you're doing it. I'm a huge fan. Sending lots of love. Thank you, Greg. You stick with Greg. So let's have a look at your plants. I'm very intrigued. I love the way that you described that you're painting with plants. Now let's have a look at the after.
Hey, Snippin guy. This is my stairs in my home in France. So I live in continental France, so right now it's winter. This room goes to 15 degrees and as low as 10 degrees in the coldest days. So right now plants are not growing, but they are surviving.
That is more than surviving. They look amazing. I can't see anything yellow, nothing. That is amazing.
Nicely waiting. So as you can see, this place is stairs, so I don't have any horizontal space, but I've got a lot of vertical space. That's why your idea of moss poles is really great in this situation. So it inspired me a lot to do that, and I think, well, I'm very happy with it. So I would say I've been quite successful. Because of the stairs, I can use this metal part to fix my moss poles to it. So it's very sturdy, very, very practical. So yeah, let's have a tour of my moss poles. The first one is...
Okay, sorry. It's a 4-minute video. I'm speeding it up a little bit, but looks great. I love this mixed pole as well with a few different ones, but honestly, I'm really jealous actually. I really want your hallway. I do have, for the first time ever, I have stairs inside my house as well, but the stairs are at the darkest part of the house, so I don't get any natural light over there, but I would love to turn my stairs into some sort of green walkway as well. So that looks amazing, and you're just making the best out of what you've been provided with. And I think the main challenge you're going to face in the hallway is just, it's going to be cold, right? Nobody's going to heat the hallway just for the sake of the plants, whereas if you grow them indoors, you're probably going to heat your apartment already anyway. I really, 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 really love this. Your plants look super healthy, and it just shows that light really sets the growth potential. Light is what you've got plenty of in here, right? It might be cold temperature. You know, France is not known for being tropical either. Well, France is a big place as well. Lyon, I think, is down south. So probably not as bad as where I grew up on the French border in the north. But yeah, I still don't think you said you have like cool temperatures as well. Temperatures to like 10 degrees down there inside. So yeah, definitely not tropical, but you're having great success. And I reckon it's first and foremost because you've got great light and you've chosen to really make the best out of these moss poles. Good on you, it looks amazing. All right, next up we've got Carola aus Deutschland from Germany. I'm looking forward to seeing pictures from all your followers and to many helpful videos from you in 2024. Wish you all the best for the new year. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Now, all right, let's have a look at it. Looks like your IKEA cabinet. Nice. I love that you've chosen to put your moss poles inside of the cabinet because you're going to have a much easier time keeping them moist in there. See you using the water upside down bottle technique as well. Is all of this inside the cabinet? Jeez, you've got... Hang on. That must be the biggest cabinet ever. Nice. Must be some, like... Did you custom build that cabinet? I want to see more. I'm intrigued. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, there it is. Wow, that is taking indoor growing to the next level. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm actually really inspired. You know what this reminds me of? In Australia, we always have built-in wardrobes not always, but a lot of rooms have built-in wardrobes. I always wanted to just get rid of the built-in wardrobe and replace it with like just glass and just have like a big growing cabinet or whatever. See, if I would own a house and I could build things and I could drill into the wall and like, I have so many ideas. Thank you for sharing. All right, we've got Arpana from the USA. I have been an avid outdoor vegetable gardener for more than 5 years and got into houseplants a bit more than halfway through the pandemic when someone gave me a little monstera cutting. I also found your channel and was fascinated by the moss poles. Needless to say, many more plants have joined me since then, but I am one who always likes to travel, so I try to be realistic and keep plants that are easy to care for and do not need high humidity cabinet. Mine have a couple of humidifiers, but that's it. And it goes pretty dry here, as my morning room has a lot of windows, which is great for sunshine, but the humidity drops to 40% in the winter. I try my best to be a good plant parent and am usually on top of watering and checking up on my plant babies. My husband complains lovingly that he lives in a jungle, yet when a new plant appears, he says, "Wow, that's a pretty one." I'm sending you my video through, okay? Thank you for the content you put out. Love to you and Brettles. Hi, Brettles. Brettles is right there on the stairs, by the way, just looking down at me. He doesn't want to be in frame. What are you doing, Bradley? He's such a chill cat and a great addition to your channel. I absolutely love the award video and Brett's song. Have a great year ahead. Thank you so much. All right, let's have a look.
Hi Jan, I want to introduce you to my golden pothos. It was growing in this pot for a very long time, and I decided to make this my first experiment with the moss pole. So this is my very first moss pole.
Great plant for your very first moss pole. Very forgiving and so on. And I mean, that's what you said as well. You like to travel? Perfect. Love that. It's like when people start with like a philodendron verrucosum on a moss pole and then they slide in my DMs being like, oh my god, I had to give up on moss pole, it was just way too much work, it didn't work, it was just too hard, the plant didn't like it, whatever. It's just like, yeah, you're starting off with like one of the trickiest plants you can grow. Like, you know, maybe start off with a pothos and then slowly work your way up.
And I originally put only one vine on it, which was the longest, and then since then I've attached 2 others, so there are actually now 3 vines growing on this particular moss pole. And as you can see, the leaves have gone from relatively small leaves down here to larger leaves as it's going up. It's also had an extension, and the leaves that I'm currently getting are these leaves here that are quite a lot larger. This is the newest leaf that I've just gotten, and they're all leaning behind the pole because that's the direction of the sun. But really happy with the progress that it's made. It's definitely more of a challenge now to water the pole. As you can see, I've just given it another extension, so it's quite tall. And there's a lot of great roots. I'm not sure if it's coming up well in the video.
Yes, it is.
There are a lot of great roots growing along in here, all along from down here all the way up. So it's on its 3rd extension here. And my plan hopefully is to wait until this gets onto the final portion and then chop in and put them all back into an aeroid mix pot so that I can have multiple big stems growing to see if I can make it even bigger. So that's what I have so far.
Looks fabulous. Proof is in the pudding. The plant is clearly happy. It continuously increases. I love that you have 3 on there as well, that you know, later on added a few more propagations to really give it more impact. Love that you can see the roots. That's exactly what we are trying to achieve. And I love how much natural light you've got. So jealous. Those windows, so many of them as well. This is perfect. Now, realistically, and I know like it's probably one of these things that you see on Instagram and you want your plants to look like they look on other people's Instagram. I would actually make this plant face the window. So yes, when you're in the room, you'll look at the back of the pole, which is obviously suboptimal, but then you end up having the leaves, you know, face in the right direction, let's say, or in a consistent direction. So I would do that, and yeah, that it doesn't necessarily always translate, right? On Instagram, people turn their plants around, take a nice photo, but in reality, of course, your plant is going to face the light, not going to face into the room, unless you have a setup using grow lights. So that's why I often use grow lights in my plant room, for example. I don't want all of my plants to just be pressed up against the window and I don't get to see them. So I have them actually on the opposite side of the window, or on the opposite side of the room, technically the darkest corner of the room, but I'm using grow lights to supplement light in there instead. So I still get to look at them while the plants also get to face the light. But yeah, look, that is just that is one thing I would do, especially if you're away. For example, if you go away anyway and you're not looking at it, if you have visitors, turn it around, you know. But if you know that you know I'm gonna go away for a week or so, just turn it towards the light. The other thing I would consider is that you have 3 plants on there, your moss pole is fairly skinny. For now, that's still perfectly fine, but just keep in mind that eventually, if you want the plant to continuously increase, you might have to provide the plant with more room for roots, because you've got 3 chunky cuttings on there. They will just compete for all of the space. But I'm always guilty of kind of under potting as well. So just a word of caution on that one. This one is Johannes from Deutschland, and he sent me this video. This is your office, and videos are majestic, splendid, dubia, glorious, epipremnum, sordiroy, gloriosum, escalodo, gloriosum verde, never heard of that, black velvet, atabapuense, oxalis, string of hearts, variegata. Sounds like you've got great taste. Alright, and then you ask me where I see myself and my plants over the coming years and what my next plans are about this hobby. Let's look at your plants first. Looks good. Looks like you've got some sort of aeroid mix in the pole, or maybe the moss is just really green, but looks good. I love that escalodo. Nice. And you're just using cups. I'm assuming you have a little hole in the cup. That's such a smart idea. It's almost like a little funnel. I used to have a little funnel that I use, but obviously I only had one. That makes so much sense. I love this. I love the dubia. I love the glorious. Look at the size of that glorious. Actually, I love all of that. You've got great taste. Now, honestly, you've got really good taste. Moss pots look nice. The plants look nice. Coming back to my previous comment about, you know, if you want to look at the plants and their display side, you're most likely gonna have to supplement using grow lights so that you don't have to push them up against the window. So I really love the one here, especially the escalodo. That one is one that I just recently added. I can't wait for that to grow up. So that's looking really good. And you're from Germany, right? Like, I mean, I lived in Germany for 19 years of my life. I know that you definitely don't have tropical climate or subtropical climate. So it is definitely possible to grow these huge aeroids indoors, even in Germany. I mean, when we're growing indoors, we all have very similar conditions to start off with, because we're all a little insulated box, right? So as long as you keep the temperatures up in winter and you provide sufficient light, clearly they're thriving. So good on you. And then you ask me where I see myself over the coming years with this hobby and with my plants. To be honest, I have no idea. I don't know. Let's take one day at a time. All right, next up, we've got Plancesca. Is that actually your name? Your name has plant in it. Oh no, no T, Plancesca. Still, I'm a bit jealous. I am a Japanese who lives in Montreal, Canada. Cold. Your moss pole method and videos helped my moss pole journey a lot. I would love to participate and share some of my moss poles with you. She also has a moss pole playlist, and she asked if I could only have one plant, which would I pick? Look who has awoken, huh? No longer sleepy. Yay, a bit of hair in my coffee. All right. So let's have a look at your plants. They look great. I'm assuming you turned them around for me, right? Like, you don't grow them this way. You usually have them facing the window. See, it's tricky. Oh, Bonifaciae. I just got one of those. Yours looks amazing. I love this. Bradley. So you've got your Dean on a moss pole. Interesting. For me, it's definitely a crawler, but look at you. It definitely is climbing. Nice. I should consider that. I often get asked what sort of, if you can have a crawler and make it a climber, and I always say no, because don't fight nature, but you made it work. Good on you. Light looks very nice. That one, yes. I'm excited about mine. It looks cool. It almost looks like an anthurium, like a strappy anthurium. Nice. Great moss poles. Again, looks like you're making your moss poles slightly different to mine as well. You've got like a cable tie going across or something like that. Again, comes back to the fact that there is no one way of making a moss pole, right? So I really love that. Looks really, really good. And you said you're in Montreal, Canada. So again, a really cold place. Definitely no tropical climate there. So nature kind of gave you a disadvantage, but you are acing it. Good on you. We've got Sarah from Germany coming up.
Hello, my name is Sarah from Germany, and these are my moss poles. Mostly hard-leaved and velvety, and all of them philodendron. So this first one is the El Choco Red.
Nice.
Also pushing out a new leaf. And this is a verrucosum. I don't know which kind, just the average one.
I love that. See, this is something I would say. Just the normal one. Yeah, look, in Australia we only have one type, I think, available, but I've seen different varieties online. I think there's one called, what, Amazon Sunset or something like that? That one looks so good. But yeah, they're all just names at the end of the day. Yours looks amazing.
And next to it, the hybrid of the verrucosum, the Splendid. And this little baby one is the Sodiroy. I hope it will get mature fast. And this is a Mycans. Very lovely on a pole. I highly recommend it. So my experience with moss poles is not that long, just a few months, but I highly recommend it, especially the El Choco Red. It's the easiest hard-leaved philodendron in my care. So yeah, wishing you guys all the best and looking forward to your plans.
Thank you, Sarah. You also use these cups on top of them like a funnel. I never got the memo that that's the new thing that we do, but I really like that. Especially if you have smaller poles like yours. Yours wouldn't take that much water yet. Jesus, yours wouldn't need that much water yet. That looks really good. And yeah, only a couple of months and it's already looking really, really good. So just stay patient. My plants only really started looking good, I reckon, in year 2 or so of my journey. So you're nailing this. Thanks for sharing, and I agree, the El Choco is super easy and super rewarding. Next one, Leon, also from Germany. Lots and lots of Germans. We love our plants. Or maybe, I don't know. Do you guys follow me because I'm also German? Or is that just a coincidence? I reckon it's a coincidence. There's just lots of Germans everywhere, honestly. You can't escape them. Your videos inspired me with the moss poles and the different plants. They have been now on moss poles for 3 to 5 months. And they're not that big just yet. Again, of course, I have lots of plants that aren't that big yet. They've only been on moss poles for half a year or so, and it might take a while. I've started doing a lot more videos where I show you the full progress of a plant from like, you know, just receiving it to what it looks like a year later. And they're not all that impressive. The impressive plants that, you know, you might have seen on my Instagram or something like that, the big statement pieces that you see in the background of my videos and so on, most of them have been with me for 3 to 4 years, and really if you start them off correctly, the beginning is a little slower, but eventually you're gonna get those results. Alright, sorry, I'm getting so distracted. We're already at number 18 and I've been filming for 2 hours already. If the plants are too small to be included in the video, that's okay too. No, not at all. This is not about just showing like the biggest plants ever. The whole point of this video is making it very realistic, right? And showing plant collections from all over the world at various stages of growth, various stages of maturity. If you've only started your plant collection 3 to 5 months ago, then of course you can't expect to have plants that, you know, are ginormous just yet. But, you know, that doesn't matter. That still makes it a good plant collection. Right, your Instagram is Leon's Jungle and the same on TikTok. But you don't post content on TikTok, so let's stick with Instagram then. Alright, let's have a look. That's your video. Okay, Monstera siltepecana. Yes, you can really see that is increasing. You started your Laniata very, very small. Good on you. But look, it's obviously working. It already found its way onto the pole. The El Salvador. Nice. Straight away, you can see a decent increase in leaf size. Micans. Micans looking good as well. Variegated Monstera. Nice! Look at you go! Monstera dubia. Yes! We're getting there. Nice. Wow, you have a lot of plants already for only collecting for 3 to 5 months. I was definitely a little slower into getting a lot of these plants. It looks great. Clearly, you already know what you're doing, even though you're only 3 to 5 months into your journey. So now you just really got to continuously do it for just another 2 to 3 years. Obviously, however long you want to do it, as long as it stays fun. But you already figured out the principles, let's put it that way. So good on you. Here's a link of my videos. Can be cool if you react to my 3D printed castle pole. I reckon you're that guy from Instagram. I think it's quite unique, not the best though, as I think the wire moss pole is still my go-to. And your Instagram is Mr. Croisy. Cordial. Paka or Mr. Croisy or Brian? There's like 3 different names in this email. I'll just stick with your Instagram name, but I reckon this is you. I reckon I've seen your videos. Yes! Alright, I've seen your videos on Instagram, and my initial reaction was really like, oh no! But then I was like, you know what, actually, why not? I think you identified that correctly in your email already. I do think the wire moss poles are the way to go if you're really aiming for your plants to grow to maturity. Yours look fabulous, right? Yours look amazing, look so much better than the actual plants, to be honest. It's almost like you don't need to grow plants on it. Just the poles in themselves kind of giving me Harry Potter vibes, right? So I probably prefer your moss poles without the plants on them. So you almost don't want your plants to grow on them because they're going to cover the nice pole, plus they're going to outgrow your pole eventually, and then, like, I don't know. I mean, you obviously want to make sure you reuse them as well, but then how do you get the plant off the moss pole and so on? So questionable functionality, but aesthetics, 10 out of 10. So it depends on what you're after, right? I obviously use moss poles as a tool to grow my plants as large as possible, hopefully as quickly as possible, by also reducing any sort of setbacks, and I use them for propagations and so on. So for me, aesthetics is obviously important. I don't want them to be hideous, but first and foremost, the functionality needs to be there. So that's my priority. Your approach definitely prioritizes the aesthetics. And that doesn't just apply to the ones that you made look nice as a castle and so on. That just applies to all of them, even if they're smaller. The 3D printed ones, I'm not too sure if I'm the biggest fan, but each to their own. I do really love the idea of 3D printing things though. Like not necessarily plant supports and so on, but it'd be so cool if you're like skilled enough to have a 3D printer and know how to do all of these things and come up with your own designs and just print it. I think that is such a cool way of incorporating technology and creativity. So good on you. All right, next we have Reut from Berlin. Geez, my German's coming through strong today. Originally from Israel. My Instagram is plants_crafts_and_beyond. I'll link it. And by the way, I'm visiting Sydney at the end of Feb, so if you need something from Germany, let me know. That is very sweet, but my mom's actually coming next week, so I already have a big wish list of things from Germany that I want from her. So, but thanks for offering. Now let's have a look at your moss pole. I put this Monstera elbow on the moss pole. Yep, you see that little root. Now, with Monstera deliciosas, I don't necessarily think they really need a moss pole. Variegated version probably also doesn't need a moss pole. I have mine on a moss pole, but that is mainly because I like to use the propagation benefits that the moss pole has. But it is probably, out of all of the plants that I grow on a moss pole, the one that I feel like doesn't need it. I mean, there's a few that wouldn't need it, but like if I compare it to like a velvet philodendron, for example, definitely highly recommended for those. With Monsteras, they can be okay with any type of support, but just keep in mind, what are you going to do by the time it reaches the top of the support? Then you're fucked. Actually, I take everything back. I've had a variegated Monstera once and I grew it up a wooden plank and it grew so beautifully, and then it reached the top of the plank and then I was like, now what? So I cut it into bits and then I was like, oh, what am I going to do with these bits now? I need to get them off the piece of wood, right? So I had to, I wetted it and everything and tried to be as careful as possible, but like 80% of the roots just ripped because, well, the part that attached to the wood was really thoroughly attached. So I really just split these roots in half. They all then obviously rotted. So I ended up with all of these unrooted cuttings and a bunch of them rotted. Variegated Monsteras are terrible for propagation purposes. I'm having a hard time. A lot of people are having a hard time with variegated Monsteras. So actually I do appreciate the moss pole for my variegated Monstera because I think it is just the best way to propagate them. But again, yeah, actually that's exactly what I said at the beginning, didn't I? For propagation purposes, I don't think you need it for growing purposes, but I mean, propagation is the inevitable. It will eventually happen. All right, anyhow, sorry, I'm getting so distracted. Of course we're never gonna make it through all 60 videos if I keep talking like that. Nice. Maybe I've been doing this a lot recently as well because I've gotten lazy, but maybe a recommendation would be to only fill the moss before you close the moss pole, because when you poke it like that, you're running risk of making it too dense actually. But it looks really good the way that you put it together there. Looks great, and I love how you directed that one aerial root into the moss pole already, so she's gonna be happy. I wish I could kind of talk to you and ask you like, how's she doing now? You know what I mean? I would love to know how's she doing? Okay, next one. Ryan from Wisconsin in the USA. Hey friend, I can't think of your name, only SPG. That's fine. Call me SPG. Anyway, I uploaded a video of my plant room, which mostly is plants aspiring to be large and beautiful like yours, and mostly followed your guidance too. Let me know how you like it. Don't you worry, Ryan, I will let you know. Now, where the hell is Wisconsin? Wisconsin sounds cold. Yeah, that's what I thought. Up there near Chicago. Okay. Cold. Near Canada. So, no tropical climate there. Let's have a look. Alrighty. Hang on. What was that empty cabinet? Why do you display cars in the cabinet? Put some plants in there. I just see opportunity and I want to take advantage of it. Alright, let's have a look. Nice! What is that one? Some sort of dragon. Is there sound to it? Sorry, sometimes I don't know if I recorded it with sound, if it was sent with sound, if I can play the sound because of... Maybe there's no sound. Some sort of dragon-ish. Look at that. So look at that increase in leaf size from the bottom to the top. Amazing. Love that. That's exactly what we like to use moss poles for. This looks good. Water upside down. Is this just a Florida? That's just a Florida, right? Or Florida ghost, maybe. Yeah, a ghost. Okay. I don't know if you're potentially talking to me in this video, but I can't hear it. Bradley, don't destroy the couch, please. Nice. Okay. More. Wow, heaps. You got heaps. Cute. Start them small. Good on you. I have seen people use that cling wrap around the moss pole and the Reut to really encourage root growth. I personally never felt the need to do it, but it makes total sense. I mean, the principle makes 100% sense. I do like that you kind of plant them all around the moss pole as well, because you clearly just have them in the middle of the room over here, so why not have them planted from all sides? Yep, another significant leaf increase. Good on you. Squamiferum, so cute. I love when you just watch every leaf change in shape. That is so rewarding as a grower. I love that. Oh wow, okay, there's a lot more video to go, so we might need to speed this up a little bit. Sorry, I just want to get to as many people as possible. Nice. Oh, nice. Sorry, I think I don't have audio for this one, but I saw everything I needed to see, Ryan. That looked amazing. Good on you. And I love how much space you've got. Is that like your dedicated plant room or like your man cave or something like that? It looks awesome. Octavio, must mention that you have inspired me to venture into a different part of my plant hobby. I'm so glad we have found your channel on YouTube a few years ago. I am in Los Angeles, California. My Monstera Adansonii was purchased near the end of November 22 as a small plant. I gave it a moss pole in Jan 23 and now it's near the top of its second pole.
Octavio from Los Angeles, California. Here's my moss pole of my Adansonii. And I also have a squamiferum. My question would be, what is another liquid fertilizer that you use to grow your plants? I know that you use Foliage Focus. At the moment, I am not using that because it's not available in my area. I haven't seen it. And I was wondering if there's another one. Maybe some of the viewers know of another fertilizer that could be substituted or where I would be able to find it. Thank you so much for your content. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks for sharing. Your plants look really great. And regarding your question, GT Foliage Focus is available in the US, but I think you need to order it online and get it shipped to you. And I've got it linked in every single description under every single video, and there's a little discount code for you as well. I've been using GT Foliage Focus pretty much since the beginning of my plant journey, and I've only ever grown plants in Australia, so I've never really had the need to look into an alternative, so I don't know, but hopefully somebody else who's watching this video who also lives in the US, who also doesn't use GT, has a suggestion for us. If you do, please pop it in the comment section. Joey, it features an Anthurium Rhoequianum. I make my moss poles that are partially 3D printed and made of bent acrylic under the name Slick Botanic. Okay, I sell them too. My name is Joey. He's from the Netherlands. Awesome. Alright, let's have a look. So you also 3D print your moss poles and you send me 3 videos. So let's have a look at those. Alrighty, I can see that. Okay, I like this. You gave your moss pole like a little base almost. So that's the part that I fill with Reut mix. Nice, and looks like you're using pon or something similar. It's nice, has a little base to stand on. That's good as well. It has some holes, so you can probably even cable tie it to your pot if you really want to. Yep. Queen looks good. Yep. Looks good. Alrighty, and then, ooh, I love this one, the variegated Adansonii there. That looks great. And then you 3D printed like a top that perfectly fits a bottle on it. It's nice. I like it. See, I mean, there's so many ways you can make this work. The principles are always the same. It doesn't matter if you 3D print it or if you construct it from a rain pipe or if you, whatever you're gonna do, right? As long as you end up with some sort of vertical structure that can hold moss, and provides the plant with sufficient roots, go for it. I love how creative everybody is getting with these moss poles. When I started growing on moss poles, like, well, 4 years ago, there was only, like, you either make your own moss pole or that's it. Like, you either make them from like wire or from plastic. That's it. There was 2 options, but now there's, I feel like, 800 companies that all do moss poles and so on. So a lot of options to choose from, which just makes it even more important to stick to the principles. I think this is a good moss pole for like an Anthurium, for example, because it grows because it climbs quite slowly, but I think if you want your plants to really mature and grow really large and lush, you will eventually have to consider how can you get more growing medium in that moss pole. It is quite a small pole in the end, and because it's 3D printed and because it's, you know, like rigid, it's going to be harder to extend on it, I think. So I think that's the only thing I would consider, right? If you're never going to get the full potential out of your plants with these moss poles. Eventually the plant will just be way too large for them. But maybe you make them in bigger versions as well, could be, right? Or maybe you don't have the desire to grow your plants really large in the first place. But obviously that's where my brain goes to all the time. We've got Liam. You've absolutely been my tutor in growing my large climbing aeroids, so to be able to show you what I've achieved would be amazing. Okay, below are 2 of my favorites. We've got Philodendron Green Sky. I've never heard of that. Oh, it's Esmeraldense Narrow crossed with Patriciae. When I first put it on a pole in Feb 23, following your guidance, versus the second picture of it taken in October 23. Great. And then a Milano as well. Okay, let's have a look at your, what did you call this one? Green Sky. So this one was Feb 23 till October 23. Huge increase in leaf size. I love this plant. This looks really, really sexy. I really love Esmeraldense and Patricia both. So of course I'd love the hybrid. That looks great. And comes back to the point I made on the previous one. Look how thick this moss pole is, right? If you really want, and I think you made it thicker throughout, right? Like it started off being a little skinnier and eventually you noticed that, hang on, I think I need to make this moss pole a bit thicker to give the plant more room for roots. Maybe it's just me wanting to prove my point, but that's what it looks like to me in these photos. And then you also had this Milano. Damn, these leaves are huge. Nice. Again, quite a thick moss pole with a lot of moss in it, right? Which is exactly what these plants need, and the moss is what retains the moisture. Love that you're taking it to the shower, giving it a thorough spray. Clean leaves stay healthy and pest-free. Good on you for growing all of this in the UK with the UK sun. I know you don't get all too much of it. Alright, next one we've got Lee. Alright, Lee is from Rockhampton, Queensland, Australia. In this video we've got Philodendron, Silver Sword, and the photo he's got Splendid, Pothos Variegated, and Monstera Adansoni. Alright, let's have a look at the video first. Silver Sword, looking nice. You can see that gradual leaf change developing the little lobes. Good on you. Looks great. And then here we've got, what did you say, Splendid, Pothos, and an Adansoni. Also looks great. Looks good. Thanks for sharing. Alright, next up we've got Alistar. I only discovered your YouTube channel a few months ago, but I love your videos and your energy and passion. You really inspired me to have a go with making moss poles and trying to grow huge aeroids. I live in the UK, where unfortunately our weather obviously isn't quite Sydney level. But still, I've made my first moss pole and put some Adansonias on it. Also, not sure if you're overcrowded, or if I've overcrowded it slightly. I would love a big full plant, but perhaps I'll be limiting the rooting space for each one with so many shoots potted. I've got many more plants lined up to go on poles, so I'm excited to carry on creating, and it would be great to hear any feedback you might have. First of all, thank you so much for your lovely email. That was so nice, and I really love the thought of maybe, you know, my channel, my videos really helping somebody discover a new hobby or really taking this hobby to the next level. Now, I don't think it's necessarily overcrowded, but be realistic. Not all of the shoots that you put in there will thrive to their full potential. You'll most likely notice that one or two of the shoots will shoot the lights out, pun intended, and the rest is kind of struggling a little bit. And that problem just gets worse and worse because eventually the bigger plants are kind of suffocating the smaller plants, competing for light, nutrients, water, space, and so on. And the smaller plants is just going to get weaker and weaker, and the stronger plant is going to get stronger and stronger. Not a problem, right? You've got plenty of them, but just be realistic. It doesn't mean that all of them will grow up simultaneously in the same speed with the same strength and so on. So you might not get that lush of a pole out of just adding that many plants to it in the first place, but always worth a shot. I definitely think the bamboo stick at the back is not necessarily a good idea. The bamboo is going to be constantly moist because the pole is constantly moist, and it will 100% cause some sort of mold issues eventually, or rot and so on. So I would use a garden stake instead. Lastly, I would put this plant on a little stand. If you just elevate this by maybe 30 or 40 centimeters, that plant gets much more natural light and it will love it. It will make a huge difference. So, you know, when you say, for example, oh, my plant is in a north-facing window, it's actually not in a north, it's underneath a north-facing window or a south-facing window. Not that you said that, I'm just trying to make a point. Like the direction of the window and so on doesn't mean anything. Even just a small thing like putting it further down could have a huge impact on the amount of light that this plant receives. I think Daryl from Houseplant Journey describes this really nicely. Just think about you're the plant and you look up, how much sky do you see? The more sky you see, the more light you get. If you put yourself in the position of being that leaf and you look up, you'll mainly see that wooden door, right? If you just elevate it by 40 centimeters or so, you'll see much more sky. So I reckon that will be a very easy fix. But apart from that, everything looks great. So you've got it and it will work. These are just a few tips I would do to optimize it even further. Oh, there's another photo, and I do not recommend the hexagonal mesh. That is like the chicken wire. It's not very strong. It does not have a lot of structural integrity. So you can only go so tall with these sort of poles before they'll just kind of like bend over and like cave in and so on. Jason from Melbourne. Here's a bit of my plant journey background. I think I started it just a few weeks before you started your YouTube channel, so to me it actually came right on time. I live in an apartment in Melbourne CBD with extremely good lighting, but the downside is that it is tiny and I could only hold on to a limited number of plants. Heartbreakingly, I had to sell my glorious, splendid Ernestii, Florida, Vitarifolium and Cebu Blue last October because they're getting way too huge. Good problem to have. Maybe one day I'll move to a house and I could grow them back. I also added new members to the family, as in the video, Esmeraldens and Patriciae. Great taste in plants, mate. I hope you like the video and my humble collection. Alrighty, Jason from Melbourne. Also happy new year to you, Brett, Tim and AJ. Hope you guys had a wonderful year. Thank you, Jason. Let's have a look at your humble collection. Alright, so we've got August 22. December 22. Damn. Feb. Nice. Nice. No way. Wow, look at that, glorious. Honestly, I look at these photos and I think it's my photo. It's like it looks. Wow. Okay. Now I understand why it was a bit heartbreaking to sell it. Look at that splendid. Look at, wow, they look so good. Look at that brandy. I hope you didn't sell the brandy. That looks great. Nice. Is that your emerald? How did you get your emerald and so big already? Jason? What the fuck, Jason? Hi, baby. Oh, have I been sitting here for that long that I missed baby's food time? No. 1 minute and it's food time for you. I'm just obsessing about Jason's collection here. That El Salvador. Fuck. Nice. Your Patriciae is amazing. Jason, what are you doing to me? Wow. I really, really like this, Jason. You're doing amazing. I'm almost a bit jealous. What about you, darling? What do you want your food? Alrighty, the baby has food. Jason, I love that. That was amazing. And you're from Melbourne. Of course, Melbourne is in Australia, but for the international crowd, Australia is a very big place. So Melbourne is quite far away from Sydney, and Sydney is already temperate climate. We're not even subtropical over here, and Melbourne is further south, so a little bit colder. So Melbourne is not known for its good weather or warm weather. It's very, very European, right? Europe. Very English, let's put it that way. So you definitely did have good light in there, but I saw you supplementing with grow lights as well. I saw you having a fan in there. So you're doing everything you possibly can for these plants, and it really shows. You're putting a lot of effort into setting really good conditions in there for you, specifically light, which really sets the potential. I can tell that you're realizing that potential every single day. You don't miss a watering. You don't miss an extension. You know, you give your plants the perfect care and the perfect conditions, and it really shows. very, very clearly. I'm very impressed. It really makes me want to have a much smaller collection again and just try and optimize every single plant. I just have too many plants by now. I can't obsess about every single one anymore. I don't know. I really like this. Thank you. Thank you. Like, actually, really, really thank you for sharing. Okay, we've got Kelly again from Australia, and that's all I know about it. Oh no, hang on. She sent a long email. Hang on. All of this. So she's from Australia. You enjoy my Instagram and my YouTube channel. It really brings me and my husband great joy. Thank you. Secondly, I think this is a fantastic idea and would love to be included in your video. You will be. Everybody will be included. But I think the second half of the submissions will have to be included in part 2. Sorry. I've attached my Philodendron Splendid video for you to view, but I love to give you a little backstory about it. This plant is the one that I really was scared about chopping and extending in fear of that I could kill it, as it was and still is one of my absolute favorites. It was after one of your many videos that I ultimately found the courage and confidence and bit the bullet and did it. What you see now is its third chop and extend since July 2023, and as you can see, it's loving life. So thank you, Jan, for the encouragement from afar. Have a fantastic day. Warmest regards, Kelly. And her Instagram is all about the leaves. All right, let's have a look at this. Alrighty, you're splendid. Can see multi-planted on there. Again, a thick pole. Oh, hang on. What you've done is chopping. You taken the top and the bottom. You planted them next to each other. I love that. Nice. And you said it already had 3 chop and extends, right? This is doing really well. Plus, as part of the chop and extends, you start multiplying the plant, you know, so you have multiple growth points on there now, making it lusher and lusher and lusher. It's looking good. And you can definitely see an increase in leaf size from whatever's down there at the bottom to the top, despite the chop and extends. So happy days. I remember when I did my first chop and extend, and I'm pretty sure I did my first chop and extend with a verrucosum out of all plants. Probably the worst one to do it with. But I was super nervous and I was like, no way this is gonna work. And then it just worked, and did it again and then again and again. And I did it like 3-4 times until I told anybody about having done it, because I was like, I don't want this to be like the biggest fail. But honestly, it is one of these things where it doesn't make sense in your head unless you've done it a couple of times. Or it made sense, but I was just like, I don't think this is true. This can't be real, but it is. So glad that I was able to encourage you to give it a shot, and you'll get addicted to propagating going forward. Once you have propagated a few plants once, you just can't go back, I think. Alrighty, let's do a couple more. First of all, thank you for sharing all the information on YouTube. Thank you. No, thank you for watching. I found your channel over Christmas break and I literally spent 3 days in a row browsing through it. Then ordered all the stuff as suggested by you, and here's a video of my very first moss pole I made this week. And then you've got a bunch of plants listed. Also, I attached a few pics for dubia. I decided to make a moss pole which is half circular, so that the leaves do not wrap around. We will see if it will work out. It will work out. That's what I've done with my dubia back in the day. So let's have a look at what you sent through. So you've got a video here. Yeah, looking good. Moss poles looking nice and sturdy, looking very nice and straight. Looking good. Hang on, where are you from? Poland. You're from Poland, okay. And it's Thomas Drosh. Okay, I'll put the name on screen, but you have a YouTube channel as well. Looks good. Looks very similar to my moss poles as well. So clearly you have similar materials available in Europe as well. It's good. Mayo, I think, no? Love that. I mean, if you discovered my channel over the Christmas break, then I mean your plant collection can't have been too old. You're getting started on those already. Okay. Can't be all too old, but it looks like a really good initial setup, right? Now you just need to care for them, and eventually they'll start growing up that moss pole and find their way into them. So Good on you. Looks like a really good setup that you've got there. Now you just need to crystallize it. All right, let's have a look. Love that. Look at that moss pole. It stands up by itself. That's it. That's all the structural integrity that you need in the first place. Looks really good. I do love your bathroom, by the way. Looks nice. I like that blue tile in the back. Very nice. Nice chunky mix. Perlite, perlite, perlite. I always cringe when I see like potting mixes without perlite. Like it's the best. Alright, you're using these little clips, and I used that. Looks great. And yes, this is the D-shaped pole for the dubia. That is exactly what I did initially for my dubia, and eventually I'll just put a plastic backing on the back as well. But this is perfect. Good thinking. Looks good. And quite clearly you made a bunch of moss poles all at once, and that's what I always do as well. I think it just takes way too long and makes way too much mess to just do one at a time. And then you clipped all of them nice, and then you potted them all up. See? I love that. So people always, a lot of times I get comments where people are really impressed with how productive I can be in like a full plant care day, but it's because I do everything in bulk. Like I don't just repot one plant, I repot 25. Like I still need to get the potting mix ready and like the pots and whatever. If I do it once or if I do it 25 times, it's not more work, right? So if I get all of my stuff together and I get everything ready and I have all of my pots, potting mix and baskets and whatnot, I'm organized, might as well just scale it up and do as many of them as possible all at once. So love that, but just be careful as well. If you do something wrong, if you're still at the beginning of your plant journey and there's potentially something you're not aware of, or something you're doing wrong or so on, you know, like you run risk of learning your lesson, not just with one plant, but learning it with like 10 plants all at once. If, for example, your watering is too frequent for the mix you've chosen, I suppose you'll do that with all 10 of them. So you're running risk of potentially overwatering all 10 of them and so on. So when I do something new, I like to usually start small, like do it once first, see if it works, learn my lesson, then scale it up, do it again, do it again, do it again, and so on. But I suppose by now there's so many tutorials and help online that you might not have to make your own learnings anymore. Maybe we've done them for you already. Looks great. Thank you so much for sharing. I really like that. Alright, my name is Ryoma Murata. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. Your Instagram is The Fit Plant Guy. I started out collecting alocasias, but as you know so well, they can be sometimes difficult to upkeep. I've been watching your videos for over 2 years and it made me shift to leafy plants and I'm loving it so far. I love that. Thank you. I'm glad I was able to show you another aspect of growing or got you excited about a new type of plant. So let's have a look. Nice moss poles. They look good. Look very sturdy. Hang on, I think it's just looping. Sorry. I'm just so jealous of your light. That is really what I miss about living in an apartment. Look at the amount of light you've got there, and light sets the potential. So it doesn't matter that you're in Canada and Canada is kind of usually really cold, because inside it's probably not that cold. You probably heat your apartment, right? Light really sets the potential. So quite clearly this is all possible all across the world. So I really love that. I miss apartment living a little bit sometimes. I just love how much light you get because look, everything is unobstructed. If you're in a high-rise building like that and you say you have a south-facing window that's floor to ceiling, yes, you get a lot of light. I have a floor-to-ceiling light over there, but it is facing the courtyard that is covered in trees, so I get hardly any light coming through this. So I miss apartment living, but at the same time, when I'm in an apartment, I love the light, but you don't have this direct connection to nature and a garden and room for a greenhouse and so on. So, you know, it's a compromise. But thanks for sharing. I love that. And that's really how I started my journey as well. In an apartment, didn't have much space available, but I had great light, hence the vertical growing. Anyway, I've been sitting here for hours. I don't even remember how long it's been, but I think it is time for me to take a little break and get away from the computer. really enjoyed doing this video, and I'm really thoroughly impressed with everybody's plant collections, and I love that there were people from all over the world. I love that there were so many different approaches to constructing moss poles, but at the end of the day we all ended up having good results. If you have submitted a video but it wasn't shown, that is just because it's going to be in part 2 instead. I wasn't too sure how long this is going to take me. It took a little longer than expected. You know, I want to be in a good mindset. I want to be in the right mindset when I look at these videos. My motivation is going to go downhill if I keep filming now, because I've already been sitting here for 2 hours. So I'd rather do a part 2 on a separate day, look at them, fresh eyes, fresh brain, and really appreciate the effort you have put in to submitting these videos in the first place. I purely went chronological, so the earlier you send your email, the earlier in the video you'll be. Ultimately, you guys also need to enjoy those, so let me know down below if you enjoy this sort of video, if you want a little bit more, I don't know, like viewer interaction, collaboration almost. We could do a similar video like that, but with things that went wrong. You know, you send me a video of something that went wrong, and we can see if we can troubleshoot, which I find always really hard, because troubleshooting, I really want to ask questions to know a little bit more before I can do that. But maybe I can ask questions. Sorry, my brain goes in all sorts of directions. Anyway, I really need to wrap it up over here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for part 2 and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out when that is being uploaded. Like my video and leave a nice comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye.